Welcome to Sunscreen Wonderland. Ooh. Hello, bonjour, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Cyril. I used to be a stem cell researcher for many years, and this is why I can tell you about the science behind skincare ingredient. And for today's video, I have another video about sunscreen, my absolute addiction, and this definitely should be also your addiction. And today I am just going to talk about SVR sunscreen. So I have a lot of sunscreen from SVR actually, even though I didn't find one. I don't know where this baby is. I have so many sunscreen, it is quite crazy. Anyway, so I am going to jump straight away in the video because I have a ton to tell you. So what I'm going to do is actually discuss, at least for the first sunscreen, about the UV filters and tell you what they absorb and etc. But I'm not going to do for the other one, or else it is going to be far too long, and maybe you do not want to be with me like for hours and hours. So let's dive in. So the first baby is this one, and this is a really, I would say, peculiar one in a way. This is the SVR, the Sun Secure, the Extreme Ultra Matte. Don't we love the extreme here? Multi-resistant SPF 50+, very bougie. In French, this is le gel ultra matte multi-resistant. Like, give it to me, baby. So as always, the first thing that is the most important in every sunscreen is, of course, the protection. So the protection is the SPF and the UVA protection factor. Unfortunately, most brand does not disclose the UVA protection, and if you are not new to my channel, you know that I really dislike it. By the way, if you are new, please consider to subscribe to my channel and don't forget the bell to not miss any of my new videos. So, like I just said, the first thing is important is the SPF and the UVA protection, if you can know it. SVR is the European brands, therefore all sunscreen falls under the EU regulations, which means that the UVA protection should be at least of 1/3 of the SPF. Obviously, I really love this because for every SPF 50+, you are guaranteed that you have at least a UVA protection of 20. Most of the cases it will be even higher than 20 because an SPF of 50 is basically an SPF of 60 or above. So most likely most of them are at least an SPF of 70, which I of course really love. Again, I strongly discourage you to choose any sunscreen below SPF 50+. There are accompanying amount of data to show that basically SPF 50+ and even SPF of 100 actually are way better than an SPF of 50, even of an SPF of 30. So please don't choose an SPF of 30. Also, something that I always tell you is that in most cases, an SPF of 50+ will always protect you more from UVA type 1 than a damn SPF 50 or even worse, an SPF of 30. And you don't want to be exposed to UVA type 1 because, well, do you want to age faster? I don't think so, so trust me. Anyway, then when you know that this is, of course, at least an SPF of 50+, if you happen to know the UVA protection, this is even better. I don't know, SVR didn't want to disclose the UV protection. You can go to the Instagram and DM them like crazy because we all need to know. If it is an Asian sunscreen, make sure that it is at least a PA rating of 4+. Please never go below. Okay. Then once you know this, it is always important to have a look at the filters. This is for many reasons. The first one is, of course, to just know the coverage of the spectrum, because certain combination of filters can basically highlight you that probably like the UVA type 2 coverage is not that optimal, or simply that the UVA type 1 coverage is also not that good. And of course, like I have said, this is extremely important. In the EU, I have to say that the coverage is always very excellent, simply because the regulation is so damn strict that basically you cannot have like a, I would say, bad filtering system in a way. This is also very similar in Australia. So if you happen to live in Australia, you also have excellent protection. Anyway, so this bite bar here, after we know that this is an SPF of 50+, which I love, this is important to look at the filter. So the filters in this one, the first one is Uvinol A+. Uvinol A+ is such an excellent UVA absorbent. I actually don't really understand why it has not replaced all avobenzone for whatever reasons. I don't know, but basically it has almost the same absorbent as avobenzone, but it doesn't need to be stabilized, which we love, of course. Then we have homosalate. Homosalate is mainly a UVB absorbent. It can also sometimes be used in certain formula to help to dissolve the other filters like that. the formulator doesn't need to add any more emollients and hence add to the greasy feeling, which of course we like because we all know that there are so many greasy, heavy sunscreen that are like so dreadful and not pleasant to use. Then we have ethyl ethyl methoxycinnamate, aka octinoxide, which is a UVB absorbent. Then we have ethyl ethyl salicylate, another UVB absorbent, a Juvenile T150, another UVB absorbent, and this one, like I said many times, it can actually help to boost even more the SPF. And the last one is my beloved Tinosorb S. So this one, just in terms of filtering system, it basically only have two filters for UVA, which is basically the Juvenile A+ and the Tinosorb S. So I don't know exactly what is the UVA protection because of course it also depends simply on the concentration. If it has a really high concentration of Juvenile A+, you can actually achieve a UVA protection of 30. So this one is described actually by SVR by having a very high protection. I don't exactly what they consider to be high protection, of course. And this one is also considered to be for those of you who likes to do activities like sports and etc. So this one is 100% transparent. So basically for every skin tone it will work. It is also water resistant. It has no alcohol. But it does have a perfume. So this one is a gel 100% transparent that has a very peculiar feeling. It does feel a little bit like a silicone primer. It is really hard to describe it. It has like this sort of silicone / oily feeling, even though it does not contain really any oils to it. So this is definitely the property of one elastomer that is used in this one. I am pretty sure that the texture and the fact that it is a 100% transparent gel is coming from one thing, which is the DOWSIL, the silicone organic elastomer blend, which is basically a mix of isodecane and dimethicone bis isobutyl PEG 20 cross polymer. What a mouthful of a word. And I think this is where this really particular texture and transparency, I would say, is coming from. So the texture is actually very nice upon application. A little bit goes definitely a very long way, which is exactly what you do not want with sunscreen. So even though it is pleasant to use because it applies very quickly, it's very easy to blend it on the face, but you need to be extra careful because even a little bit you can almost cover all your face. And like I said, this is not something that you want. You do need the correct amount, so be careful of this, but it's pleasant to use. If you don't like this very heavy silicone / sort of oily feeling, even though it is not oily, you are not going to like this one for sure. For example, my partner really dislikes the texture. I don't mind it that much. My biggest problem with it is that if you go to the SVR website, it is supposed to be multi-resistant to friction. It is supposed to be highly water resistant and resistant to sweat, so it is indeed super water resistant, but this stuff just doesn't set because there is absolutely no powder like to grab to it. So therefore, if it's not going to set, it is going to move on your face. You absolutely need to use at least a tiny bit of powder to really set it. The craziest part I would say about it is that it is indeed extremely matte. I don't know if you can see it on my hand with all the lighting that is around me, but I can tell you that it is extremely matte. The moment that you put it, your skin will be extra matte, but you will have this sort of oily feeling that is not really coming from an oil, like I have said. So therefore, if you do want to use this one, I highly recommend it to powder it at least on the T-zone. Also, this one would absolutely not be suitable like to put it on the neck where you have contact with clothes, or on your arms, even on your hands, because it is going to smudge and move everywhere, and therefore you are going to lose the protection. On the face it could be good, especially if you powder it, but again, I'm pretty sure that SVR didn't include any powder in it because they did want to have this really like transparent gel. I mean, this is stupid. This is way better to have a sunscreen that at least set a little bit. Still, if you're looking for an extra matte sunscreen in terms of finish, not in terms of texture, you can definitely use this one. It might also be suitable for those of you who are more acne prone because the overall composition is quite good. I do regret that it has a perfume, and in this one you do smell the perfume and it does linger a little bit on the skin. So The next one, which is probably one of my favorite one from SVR, this is this bad boy just right here. This is the Sun Secure Fluid, ooh, the SPF 50+. So again, I do not know the down UVA protection, you know that I don't like this. Anyway, so this one, let's dive in with the filters. So the first one is again octinoxate, so a UVB absorbent. Then we have my beloved Juvenile A+, almost a lot, Tinosorb M. I love my Tinosorb M, and the last one that I also love, which is the Tinosorb S. In terms of filter, this one has octinoxate, Juvenile A+, Homosalate, Tinosorb M, I love my Tinosorb M, and Tinosorb S, and the last one is Juvenile T150. I really love when you have this combination of Tinosorb S and Tinosorb M. Why? Because both of them, they are broad spectrum organic filters that absorb UVB, UVA type 2 and UVA type 1. And what is amazing with Tinosorb M is that it does also absorb a little bit of visible light. So with this one, especially for those of you who are prone to hyperpigmentation, you are more guaranteed to have some absorbance close to the visible light, which is way better, obviously, when you are suffering from hyperpigmentation. The downside of Tinosorb M is that it does have a little white cast. So like I said, the white cast of this one is pretty minimal. You barely see it. I mean, on my fair skin, when I use the correct amount, you don't really see it. This one is also really water resistant. Actually, it is sweat resistant according to SVR. I have to say that this one, even with one application, it does linger for a very long time. If I apply like crazy amounts, so way more that you need, which I also love to do, because it does set, you also see this really slight white cast that is barely there, but you have it for a very long time. So therefore, if you know that you are someone that really don't like to reapply, with this one you have more, I would say, insurance that even after 6 hours you still have some decent protection. Obviously, it is always better to reapply it, but I know that some of you're a little bit naughty, so I just put it out there. It has no alcohol, but it does perfume. Why I've included perfume? This is the same perfume as the multi-resistant matte gel, but it is less present. I definitely prefer the perfume in this one. This is the same perfume. I don't like this perfume. It is a little bit sweet. I mean, this is definitely not what I like in terms of perfume, but it is less strong in the fluid. So like I said, the texture, it is pretty runny. It is like a fluid, but it doesn't spread far too much, so therefore it is very easy to have the correct amount on your face, which I also really like. And the perfect thing with this one is that it does set, which is absolutely lovely. I love when my sunscreen set. If you have super dry skin, this one might be a little bit dry for you, so in that case you apply first a thick moisturizer, you wait a little bit, and then you apply the sunscreen, but this one is not going to move all around your face, which is optimal. So the next bad boy, this is a stick. This is the Sun Secure, the Easy Stick, an SPF of 50+. I have to say that this one, I really enjoyed it. I have actually two of this one, the one with the previous package and the new one that I really enjoy. So the filters. The filters is Juvenile A+. I love when you start with Juvenile A+. I always hope that the UVA protection will be higher. Who knows if it's right. Then we have Homosalate, Isco Trizinol, which is a UVB absorbent, and then the beloved Tinosorb S. So what I love about this combination is that you don't have octinoxate, you don't have octocrylene, so therefore if you know that you are sensitive to some organic filters, you don't exactly know one, try this one, because this combination is extra safe, and again, very different from what you can find in the market. So definitely for those of you who have sensitive skin, this is the one to try. So this one is 100% transparent. I, of course, love this. You don't have any white cast, nothing. It is very water resistant. It has absolutely no alcohol. And wow, amazing. I can't believe it. It is perfume free, which again, I love. So is it perfectly friction proof? Not really. It does set a little bit. This is not those type of stick that when you apply it, it's like a greasy mess. You're like, oh my God, I'm like a glazed donut. I like deep fried. No, this is not the case. It is not too oily. It does set a little bit. Now, if you have more normal to dry skin, this will be fine. If you have more normal to combination skin, you will need to powder it a little bit. This is also an excellent makeup primer that I really enjoy. Now, something that is very important, this is a stick. Therefore, to control the amount that you are going to apply on your face, it is going to be very difficult. So if you do wish to use this one, because it is also very, very practical actually, what you need to do is to weight it before using it. So for example, let's say that it is 10 grams, you weight it weighs 10 grams, you apply it on your face. I need 1 gram on my face, and you weight it after, and you look if it is less heavy. So like this, you know that you have applied the correct amount. In my case, 1 gram. If you don't want to exactly calculate how much do you need, by the way, I have a lovely video about this. It doesn't take a lot of time. It is also pretty easy to do. In that case, you do need 1.4 grams of sunscreen. Once you have applied all over your face, you need to massage it with your fingers. I really enjoy this one. I find it also very practical. Also, if you go like, for example, on a weekend for a short trip, I mean, this is tiny, so this is very practical. The last thing that is actually a downside about this one, I do believe that it is probably coming from the first ingredient, which is the bisteryl ethyl diamine neopentyl glycol steryl hydrogenated dimer dilonylate copolymer. Oh my god, what is this name? But basically this is a very complex polymer that is used to make this stick. This is probably why this is not heavy, not very oily, and etc. But this can break. So in very high temperature you need to be very careful. Like, don't twist it like crazy or else it is going to break down. So always apply like a little amount, and don't like press too hard on your skin. But this is an excellent stick, again very different from what you can find in the market and not too oily. So the next one is this one. This is a new one. This is the Sun Secure, the mineral stick SPF 50+, and oh my god, this one is bad, terrible, awful. I mean, this one I just hate it like so much, unbelievably. Anyway, this is a mineral sunscreen, so therefore it only uses mineral filters in the form of zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. So basically with mineral sunscreen, the main downside is the UVA type 1 filtering system, because basically it only relies on zinc oxide. So even though zinc oxide is a broad spectrum filters, it does not absorb a lot of UVA. So it has, of course, to be used at a very high concentration, especially in European sunscreen. Because of the EU regulation, you basically cannot formulate an SPF of 50+ with a UVA protection below 20. Most of them are probably around 20 and 25. Therefore, the concentration of zinc oxide and titanium dioxide is super high. So the white cast will be, oh la la, oh my god, so strong. This is the case of this one. With this one, you are just a white mess. This one does not use nano zinc oxide and nano titanium dioxide, so high white cast. I mean, even on my fair skin, I cannot use this stuff. Also, this is simply a greasy mess. When formulators are basically making mineral sunscreen, they can either dilute them in sort of silicone that helps to lighten the texture, so those ones are a little bit more on the drier side, or they had basically a lot and they are super greasy. Mineral sunscreen are so difficult to formulate, and also the UVA protection is not quite high. If you are one of those persons that cannot tolerate any organic filters, or simply you react to them, like you have a lot of breakouts, even when you are trying the most, I would say, gentle one, like the Purito one, the unscented Centella, in that case it might, of course, worth a try to use a mineral sunscreen. Do you need this one? Absolutely not. It also has perfume, and it is, oh gosh, it is so fragrant. I also don't get it. Why make a damn mineral sunscreen tailored for sensitive skin with perfume? Just tell me. Basically, this one, I do think that almost nobody can use it unless you have extremely dry skin and extremely fair skin, like you need to be extremely white probably to use it. But even in this case, I don't think that it would be pleasant, so ugh, I hate this one. The next one, it is basically the one that I've been promoting on my channel for quite some time. I don't have it here because, well, I don't know where this bad boy here, but this is the CICAVIT, the cream, the SPF 50+. I really enjoy this one. This is also one that I encourage you to try if you have sensitive skin. You tend to react to a lot of organic filters. Really try this one. So in terms of filter, the filtering system is very different from the one that you can find often on the market. It also avoids octocrylane. It also avoids octinoxate, which is really nice. It is there's also no octisalate, so alkyl ethyl salicylate. So if you tend to react basically to UV filter, this is definitely the one to try. So the first filters is my beloved Juvenile A+. Then we have iscotrizinol, again, that is not often found in the market, which is excellent. Tinazop S, I mean, you cannot go wrong with this one. And the last one is Uvinol T150, an excellent UVB absorbent. The rest of the formula is also super safe. You have no perfume. This one is also 100% white cast free. I'm like, oh, yes. I really like when there is no white cast, especially for my facial hair, because when there is a white cast, it tends to linger, and then I look like Santa Claus. But I don't want to look like Santa Claus. I don't know if it is water resistant. It is actually not disclosed. It has no alcohol and no perfume. So lovely. Now, is it completely friction free? Not really. So this one, you do need a solid 20 minutes to let it set, because it does set, not completely. This is quite an emollient sunscreen, but that does set on the face. It is really lovely. I also love it to use it as actually my eye cream. I do not know exactly the UVA protection. SVR does not really emphasize the UV protection, but I do think that on a day-to-day basis, this is actually an excellent one to try and to consider. If you have super oily skin, this one won't be for you though, unless you use a lot of powder. So the last one that I want to talk about, this is a very old video that was filmed in not really good condition. That was my beginning on YouTube, so I'm sorry. This is this one, the SVR, the CLAIRIAL, oulala, the crème SPF 50+. So this is une très haute protection solaire anti-tache in English, a very high anti-brown spots and protection. We like the very high. Again, if we look at how SVR described this one, probably the UVA protection is quite high. Unfortunately, I do not know. So in terms of filter, the first one is Uvinol A+. Like I said, I love when it starts with this one. Then we have octinoxate. We have the beloved Tinazop S. Of course, Tinazop S, especially at a high concentration with Uvinol A+, you can definitely nail the UVA protection. I do not know the concentration though. Then we have Uvinol A+, another one that is also not found that often, which is a UVB absorbent that is soluble in the water phase, which is the phenylbenzimidazole sulfonic acid. I had to read this one because I don't remember it by heart, but most of the UV filters are basically only soluble in the oily phase of the sunscreen. So basically you just add oil on top of oil, but this one is not the case. This is soluble in the water phase. Of course, I really love this. So it does have perfume. I have to say that the perfume is really different from the Sun Secure. I do prefer the perfume of this one, and also the perfume is really mild. Of course, this is not optimal. Again, why add perfume? I do not know. It's to please people, but you are not helping them. Anyway, the rest of the formula though is very interesting, very straightforward, very well done. It has also some powder to set it, which I obviously love. It has silicate and also bentonite, which is a clay. Therefore, it does have a really mild white cast, barely there. If you have super dark skin tone, I don't think that this one would be for you, but for medium skin tone and of course a fair skin tone like mine, this one would work. I do not know if it is water resistant because it is not disclosed. It has no alcohol, like I said, it has perfume, which I don't like. And this is, I would say, pretty friction proof because this one said yes, you like this. So basically for today's video, that's it. I hope you have found it pretty interesting, that you will find basically a sunscreen that you really enjoy, which is important. If you are someone that likes to wear makeup, the top 3 for makeup are definitely this one, even though it doesn't set, but because it has this sort of silicone primer, it really helps like to blur the pores. The other one is the fluid. This one actually works really well, and the makeup, excellent. The other one that you can consider also with makeup is the Easy Stick. This is not bad. The last one, which is the CLAIRIAL, this one is not completely optimal because it really set. So therefore it feels a little bit like one of those more drying, I would say, mineral sunscreen base. So therefore this won't be optimal under makeup, but you can definitely make it work. So thank you so much for being here. If you did like this video, give it the biggest thumbs up that you can on the planet Earth. Of course, if you're new, please subscribe to my channel and don't forget the bell, because like this you will be notified every time I post a new video, and of course you don't want to miss any of my new videos, or at least I hope to. Also go to my Instagram account. I am Cyril Laurent. I do a lot of live currently, so definitely if you want to talk to me, this is the place to go. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.